Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to my channel. So today we're here to talk about LashGate, MascaraGate, a whole bunch of terms that frankly make me die a little bit inside because here we are once again in a new and frankly a little bit boring version of Dramageddon. Anyway, the reason why I wanted to talk about this is twofold. Now obviously it's all over social media, so whether you want to talk about it or not, I feel like you're somehow involved in the conversation no matter how quickly you decide to scroll. Aside from that, I also wanted to talk about this in a more conceptual way as opposed to focusing on our main character here, which is Michaela Nogueira. I don't know if that's how you pronounce her last name, that's how everyone has been, so. Now, I don't follow this influencer closely. In fact, I stopped following pretty much every beauty influencer closely because, as we see, there are a lot of messes. And that's not to say that every influencer is a mess, but that whole space to me is just no. Basically, what has occurred, in case you haven't been on the internet, consider yourself lucky. This one influencer, Michaela, was reviewing this one mascara by L'Oreal. It's supposed to be lifting, all the things that mascara promise you to be and that typically never really are, you know, like how far can you really go with mascara? That's a different story. She basically showed the effects of this mascara and it was life-changing. So life-changing that it might even be false lashes. Now that is where the crux of this whole scandal is.
Look how long and lengthened my lashes look.
This literally just changed my life. This looks like this is how? What? It's this L'Oreal telescopic lift. Look at the wand. Okay, so basically I'm taking the curved side and I'm going root to tip and I'm starting to coat the lashes. And then once you've done that, you flip the brush to the side and you use the hook comb to basically separate. This is one coat. Okay, I'm gonna add a second. Look at the length. Do you see that? I am speechless and I'm not sure anyone's gonna ever be able to compete with this mascara.
It already frankly looked like the mascara was doing a good job. It was lifting, it was intensifying, it was doing the thing, the mascaring was happening, but she ended up adding what looks like a false lash and then being like, wow, look at this. Now, granted, the majority of mascara ads have false lashes, blah, blah, blah. The thing is, when we talk about influencers, the reason that influencers exist in the first place is because they are your regular Joe, your regular person, or they were at one point, and they're just a person basically there reviewing things without a vested interest in lying to you. Now this gets more complicated obviously when it's sponsored because they have a vested interest, you know, like if they say the truth that something sucks, the brand might not sponsor them again, so then they lose money. On the other hand, depending on what kind of contract they have, they might make a lot of money because some of these things, for the most part, what I've experienced, you get paid a flat rate. So it doesn't matter how much the mascara sells or doesn't sell, you have a flat rate. That being said, I don't know what was in that contract. Regardless, there's been a big scandal around, is she lying? Is she not lying? Why is she lying? Is L'Oreal forcing her to lie? Why did L'Oreal approve this? Blah, blah, blah. Now, one thing I'm going to say is that the blame here is on both ends. I've seen more people blame the brand as opposed to Michaela and the other way around. And frankly, there are two parties here. It's that simple. I think what this all boils down to is that the influencer has been problematic for a long time. Not this specific influencer, I'm just saying the figure of the influencer has been problematic in the sense of, we've talked about a lot of influencers here. There have been all types of things happening, from petty scandals to petty drama to very serious, potentially criminal allegations. We've seen it all happen. So a lot of people are saying, okay, why are you picking and choosing? Why is this being turned into a big deal? Now, granted, someone lying about a mascara is by no means the end of the world. That being said, the influencer industry is built to review things in a way that a consumer would, as opposed to in the way the brand would want a consumer to review it. Does that make sense? So when all this occurred, people just felt like, okay, one of the people we thought was one of us is actually one of them. We're talking consumer versus corporate, basically. That was upsetting to a lot of people. But I think the reason why it was upsetting to a lot of people is mainly because, again, we are starting to blur the lines between what is an influencer's job really? Because it started off as makeup reviews that weren't even sponsored back in the day, if any of you guys were already around for that. It slowly shifted into brand partnerships and sponsorships, which in and of themselves are not an issue so long as you disclose them so people can keep in mind, okay, well, this brand paid her to talk about this, so come to your conclusions, XYZ, whatever. Now, I also want to make another thing clear. I do think there's a lot of projection happening with influencers, and I think it's happened to the best of us at some point where you will put someone on a pedestal without even realizing it, or you'll assume like, oh, they would say this, they would do that. And the reality is like, we don't know any of these people. We don't know what they'd say. Everything we think about them is based on what they've put out there. You know, you can only make your conclusions with what you've got. The other thing is that in the comments, Michaela doubled down basically saying, I did not put falsies on. This is where things get really because again, we don't know what's in that contract. Now, I know that when I have sponsored content, in case you don't know how it goes, they usually give you a brief. So they give you a document where they mention the features they want you to talk about. They mention promotions. That's basically it. Bullet points, right? We don't know what was in that contract. We don't know what bullet points there were. We don't know what promises were being made in that contract. I do think it's extremely shady of L'Oreal in the first place to be okay with false lashes when this is supposed to be a relatively casual review. Like, this is not a TV advertisement, right? I think we have to realize that the whole premise is casual, and as much as I don't want to be that really annoying person, I'm gonna be. When we watch advertisements, there's the lighting, there's like usually cities with buildings at night and shit. Like, it's all cinematic, right? It's extreme, it's extravagant, typically over the top, whatever. Now, if we have in comparison a reviewer in their room, just like I am in front of you, maybe with their makeup in the background, pictures of their cats or some shit, and they're telling you, hey, this lip gloss is good. The production is so different, and the production is so, I guess, reminiscent of like, hey, my room kind of looks like that. This is homey in some way. You're gonna have a different reaction to that. And that, to me, is simply a fact, and there's nothing wrong with that. On the contrary, I think that's what we liked about a lot of these people reviewing these things, is that they were doing it at home in a way that wasn't overly produced. Now, if we factor in this situation, we're having a middle ground, because yeah, maybe the background kind of looks like your house in a more intense way, in a more clearly aesthetic way. But again, it's still a reviewer at home doing their own thing, not with this big production crew. But then when you insert the false lashes, when you insert the lies, then you're like, okay, well, I don't know if I'm watching TV right now or if I'm just watching a YouTube reviewer. Because I think we all, in our own ways, associate very different meanings to those two separate entities. That might just be me. You guys can let me know if I'm wrong. As a quick note, this is by no means the first time there's been a scandal involving mascara and lashes, including Photoshop, false lashes, all this shit. I just did a very quick Google, and the first few things, just with mascara advertisement, were cases where certain ads were banned, certain ads were called out, people were pissed off. So it's not the first time. The thing is, we kind of expect this from brands. From influencers, I think the standards we have are different. Now, that is another discussion in and of itself, but the standards are not the same. So I think the bigger picture here is that we have assigned trust in these people because we don't think they're part of these big corporations, and here we're seeing someone kind of be part of those big corporations while not looking like they are. Does that make sense? Now, I'm not saying that Michaela works inside the buildings of L'Oreal or anything like that. I'm just saying it is a sponsorship or whatever. But when you start lying and putting your reputation on the line for the sponsorship, you really are working for them in a particular kind of way, let us say. Because again, if we return to the influencer, the whole concept, the whole sell of an influencer, in my opinion, was always that they're trustworthy and they're like your friend at school who'll tell you, oh, this is like a really good lipstick, whatever. I just think this has opened an interesting conversation about what our expectations are with influencers. Do I think Michaela should suffer terrible, terrible consequences and this is the worst thing that happened ever in the world? No. Do I think I would trust someone after they lie brazenly over and over again? Also no. So it can also be a middle ground there of just deciding to tread lightly. Aside from that, there was another influencer. Her name is Mads something. I'll put the name on the screen.
Michaela did.
Okay, no hate to the person that did the video that you guys just saw, but why are you guys hating on somebody for lying? Granted, maybe she's lying, maybe she's not. So what? So you're telling me if I use a product, makeup product, skincare product, let's just say a skincare product, and it makes my face super clear, like actually, but you use it and it all of a sudden breaks your face out. Are you gonna call me a liar and say that I promoted the brand and it's actually ass? No. I mean, you probably will if you guys are all hating on that one thing, but okay. And also, even if she did put false eyelashes on, why does that matter? I know it's false advertising, but isn't everything false advertising? Isn't everything technically kind of lying? Just a little bit? You know, food commercials aren't actual, like, all food products, right? Like, they mix certain things to make certain things look better. Isn't that false advertising? I'm just confused. I know you've seen the videos of, like, how commercials actually make their hot chocolate look good. That type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. You guys like to pick and choose who we're going to pick on today. It doesn't make that much sense to me. Don't get me wrong. Lying sucks, but everyone does it. Especially when it comes to social media and especially when it comes to making money. Sorry, if somebody put $200,000 in your face and said, hey, promote my shitty mascara, I don't think you'd think twice about it.
This whole reaction rubbed me the wrong way. I don't know if it's the attitude, the facial expressions, just one of those things that is like, I barely want to listen to you because the way you're coming off is patronizing, and for what? I don't know what this person thought they were doing because truly it is not successful in any way, if you ask me. Because basically, first of all, if you want to defend someone, defend them, but think about what you're saying. Because basically what she's saying here is everyone lies, so what? I mean, yeah, water is wet. The thing is, just because a lot of people do it, it doesn't make it okay. Just because a lot of people do it, it doesn't mean every single person has to accept it. And it also doesn't mean that your standards should be so low. So in this person's mind, I'm wondering, every time someone tells you something, imagine it's something really important that they tell you, and then it turns out it's a lie. Imagine someone comes to tell you, oh, everyone lies. How does that help anything? Does that make you feel better? Because if we have to assume that basically every human interaction we have that might have a vested interest in lying turns out to be a lie, no one's ever telling the truth again. The thing is also, like, this is your career, so are you saying that you've been lying this entire time and that we should have expected it from you? Because now anytime you say something, you know people are gonna think you're lying, right? And according to your own rules, that's okay because everyone lies, right? Because the math isn't mathing for me here, so I'm going to leave that there. To make matters messier, since that's all we needed, all of this drama conjured Jeffree Star, conjured Voldemort out of his hiatus, and he came to do a review on said mascara. Now, honestly, this was probably one of the best times for him to come back because there is a lot of heat on this situation, and also you come off as the level-headed person when you're going to say, oh yeah, this mascara isn't bad, but it's not great. So you kind of have the opinion that everyone already has, so you have kind of a likable stance when there's another villain in the picture. I could go off about this, but anyway. You guys can let me know what you think in the comments down below. Truly, this has been a shit show that I feel like has been going on for a really long time. It's probably just been a couple of days now, but it just feels like every single day. And I'm telling you, from the moment I finish editing this, something new will have happened already. At this point, Michaela hasn't responded or said anything. I wonder if contractually she's even allowed to say anything. I wonder if the brand has specifically told her not to say anything. Anyway, you guys can let me know what you think in the comments down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you to my patrons as always, and I'll catch you guys next time.